welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I am Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G, and I'm here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on WEMS Radio. I come each Monday night with guests from different walks of life, different perspectives, and we talk about life, love, and spirituality. And we talk about spirituality from a practical point of view. How does it support you in your everyday life? What spiritual tools are your go to tools? We talk about the spiritual toolkit. And the spiritual toolkit has those spiritual practices that support you. We have many practices in our toolkit, I am sure. And my guests, we talk about our top practices. And as you know, we can shift through different practices. I meditate. I love gospel music and I love listening to podcasts. But sometimes I'm interested more in listening to the music and sometimes my meditation shifts. So certain things work at different times. So we talk about how that works in your life and from the point of view of like so much is going on and we go through so many different changes in our lives that we want to look at what can support us when we need clarity, when we're feeling down, when we need just a bit of a pickup. Or, like I always say, I really want to support you in accessing the joy that you have access to. And I want to support you in doing that with grace and ease. In the end, the goal is to live your best life moment by moment. Live your life now. I think about we don't want to look at when people die or when something bad happens, we think, oh, live our lives. I want us to always continuously think about how can we live moment by moment. So I'm excited to be here tonight. And you can find me every day on Facebook as Rev Grenetta Mason and on Instagram as Rev Grenetta. And I leave inspirational messages and hope that they can support you through your day when you need a moment. Tonight, I have a very special guest, and I'm so excited to have her here on the show. Jamice Potterfield. Jamice is a leadership spiritual coach. She's a speaker, and she is a creative. So I am excited to have her here in conversation tonight. Hey, Jamice. You're on mute.
So let me get the situation situated, okay?
Yeah, that's okay because it's like a classic line now, right?
That is so funny.
You hear
Um,
that all the time. Everyone. Right.
yes, I love the opening of the show. Thank you again, Rev G, for having me. I'm so excited to. This is my second time here. I got invited back. Okay, okay. It's that bring that girl back again. Run it back. Run it back.
Right, right.
And I love that, right? Because now I get to go and watch our previous episode, and remind myself of how far I've come, and so I'm excited about that part. I didn't even look like this.
Right. Yeah. That was so what and what made me call you is that I follow you, right? And I saw the transition. I saw you moving through to a new level in your spirituality. And I was like, oh, come back on the show and let's talk about that, right? Because
Yes.
one of the things you talked about that really resonated with me was about fathers. When people say God the Father, what is the impact on people who don't have good relationships with their father? How do they go to God the Father in
Listen.
when you
Um,
said that, I was like, wow, right? That was
yeah.
really
And that was a result of being in community. One of the things that has evolved for me over the last couple of years is the importance of community. Community is where we find healing.
yeah,
Community is truly where God is, right? And
yeah,
so
absolutely.
I was in community having a conversation, and that came up, and I had never heard that point of view. And
No.
had I heard it a few years previously, child, my response would have been completely different, okay? Because your girl was a holy roller. I would have been like, the blood of Jesus, what do you mean? You know, I would we would have went left real quick, real fast, right? But and I have evolved, right? And uh understanding and giving space for folks to share their experience teaches me so much. I glean so much for it, rather than condemning them or judging them, right? Or coming from a place of what I believe is supreme, and
Mm,
there's nothing else, right?
mm,
It's this
mm,
and nothing else. And so I was in community at a friend's house. She had like a Sunday brunch. And someone that we got on the topic of spirituality. I did not bring it up. Anywhere I go, the topic of spirituality comes up. It does
mm,
not matter where I am. I could be at the coffee shop, okay, and somehow the
it's
topic of spirituality comes up, which is how I know it's my lane, right?
yeah.
And so it came up, and um one of the community members was sharing how he did not grow up with a father,
Mhm,
right? And the experience of divinity in his life
mhm,
was connected to the feminine, his mother, like the elder women,
mhm,
right, that he was
mhm,
around. And so going to a God in a box as only the father, right? When we are clear that God created, right? And creation cannot occur without both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So there has to be a divine feminine aspect of God,
right,
right? And so we got into this whole entire conversation, which inspired that post that you saw.
right, right, right. Yeah, and as you said, I had never thought about that either. And as I thought about it, I was like, yeah, wow. But we were just taught that way, as you.
Hmm.
And I remember,
And we go ahead.
I when I started mm, looking at Christianity from a science of the mind, unity perspective, the prayer was always Mother, Father, God. And that resonated with me too, to use all of those phrases in my the way I connect to God, and I love that we each have our own way, right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think it is such a beautiful the beauty of how my spirituality has expanded for me is, again, being able to now be in conversations and be open to the different perspectives, practices, rituals, right? How that shows up,
Mhm.
how the experience of a person shapes their spirituality, and how we get to have it so individually, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah,
well as collectively, right? Like that thing
exactly.
is so good, right? Like we get to have our individual experience of who and what God is for us, and how that relates for us, and what calls
Mhm,
us higher and forward,
mhm.
in that way. And also honor the experience of others. Some people are going to find that in Jesus and the church, right?
Right.
Some people will find that in a mosque, in Allah.
Absolutely.
Some people will find that on the beach in a
Absolutely.
bikini. Okay. Some people will find that in the club twerking, right? Because that
Right.
too is
Absolutely.
holy. Like our sexuality and sensuality is holy as well. And so we get to be open, right? And not judge the experiences of other. The point is to
Mhm.
experience your divine.
Yeah, your own
However
big.
that happens, child, go on, do your thing.
What people may not know, and we talked about the last time, is your background. Give us a little bit of your background,
Oh, yes. Okay.
and how
So
you what. something happened. You know how something happened, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah. Some
transition to
things
this
happened, child. It was a few things, child. It was a few things.
things happened.
Uh, so I was and am a holy roller now. I am a pastor's kid, a PK. I was literally almost born in church. My mother went into labor with me while my father was up preaching in
Mhm.
the Second Baptist Church he got voted into, huh? Because you know the Baptist Church, they vote the pastor in. So he got voted into that Second Baptist Church and he was up preaching.
Mhm.
And she went into labor and her mother was sitting next to her and she's sitting there going, so her mama said, "What, girl, what's wrong with you?" She said, "I'm in labor." She said, "Girl, if you don't get up and get out,
She
get out
had to
here."
let him
They
finish,
they
right?
left the service and I was born the next evening.
Mhm.
And so I was literally born into the Black charismatic Pentecostal
Mhm.
church experience. And my experience is not the only experience, and I've seen a lot. I've
Mhm.
seen the beauty and joy and pleasure and
Mhm.
friendship and community and
Mhm.
Sister Hodges who makes sure she bring you candy every
Yeah.
Sunday, okay, and
Mhm.
Deacon Bird who gonna make sure she make you a birthday cake every single year,
Mhm.
right? Like that kind of love that
Mhm.
is created in the church, as well as right there are some things that are ignored, for example the patriarchy, right, that is perpetuated, the misogyny that is
Mhm.
perpetuated over pulpits, right, the
Mhm.
harm and just downright meanness,
Mhm.
right, that occurs in the name of God.
Mhm.
And when we take a historical view of Christianity, right, and take these blinders off, and these glasses, these rose-colored glasses,
Right?
right, there has been a lot of harm done in the name of God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. We were saying
We
that.
get, we get to reckon with that,
Yeah,
right?
we do.
So,
We do.
and then the question becomes, so who does it serve for us to believe this way? Someone I follow named Lavon Briggs, I believe she got it from someone else, and their name is escaping me.
Mhm.
But she always says that we should ask, who does it serve for us to believe this way? Who
Mhm.
does it serve for us to believe that our African traditional religions and spiritual rituals are demonic? Who
Right.
does it serve? Who
Mhm.
does it serve for us to wear the garments of the Vatican as we ascend through our episcopal order, right? But if we were to wear our own garments, right,
Mhm.
that is looked down upon.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
like we get to ask some questions. Why is it that most churches are like 85 to 90% women, but the leadership is 95% men?
Yeah.
In our black churches, right? And we
Mhm.
say we're so different and we're free and we're liberated, but are we actually experiencing that?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and the Bible says God's coming back for a church, his bride, right, without spot or blemish, right? And how do we get there if we're unwilling to have these conversations,
Yeah.
right? And be willing to see it another way,
Mhm.
to
Well,
try
that's
it this
I
way. Go ahead.
as you say that, one of the conversations is around people stop going to the church during COVID. How do you get them to come back, right? And what is going to be the new role of the church, even in terms of the youth migration from some of
Mhm.
these churches?
Mhm.
Because we went as family units to the church, right? And as um, say your generation shifts and moves to a different perspective, right,
Mhm.
around spirituality, the impact on the youth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. There has to be space within the church for progression, right? One of the things that Jesus came to do was to dismantle, right, the
Mhm.
law. He said, I came to fulfill the law,
Mhm.
right? And so the legalism,
Mhm.
and the traditions of none effect, right? There are traditions that are effective and we get to
Right.
continue them, right? And there are some that they have served their purpose.
Mhm. Mhm.
Their
Yeah.
time, their time is over, right?
Exactly.
And if we cannot trust the leadership that we have given
Mhm.
to those younger than us,
Right.
right? I think it says more about us
Yeah.
than anything else.
Mhm. 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 And it is uh, upon us to bring them to the levels where we need them to take over.
Absolutely.
Who was I listening to somebody and it was like they was like, well, I've been on top for a long time, so it's now time for me to pass that on to somebody younger and
Hmm.
build them and train them in the same way. And so that's a part of what our role is to have
Yes,
give.
absolutely. And it's cyclical, right? Because um i'm I'm at a point where I am still looking, right,
Mhm,
to those seasoned elder women, right, in my life, like
mhm,
you,
mhm,
right,
mhm,
for possibility models, right, and examples, right, of how I
mhm,
get to be in my life,
mhm.
as well as now being able to share, right, because I got a little bit of seasoning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's what
They'll
you.
put a little bit of Lowry's on your girl, a little bit.
Exactly, right. And but the thing is being able to share from within, from your spirit, from what
Mhm.
God shares with you. How old do you really have to be to share that information? When
Right.
you connect, right, and you really connect, you
Mhm.
really want to shout it too. You want,
Right. But
you,
connection takes authenticity,
yeah,
right? And
absolutely,
vulnerability,
yes,
right? And,
absolutely.
and that's another conversation, right? Because
Mhm, right,
specifically in
exactly.
the church, we learn to put up these facades and faces and personas, right? And
Mhm.
like you'll argue to the church door and you open the door, God bless you. God
Yeah.
bless God.
That's
Show
like they one of
me.
those Sunday morning church goers. They say they go to church on Sunday and on Saturday and Monday through Saturday is something different to Sunday morning, right?
I've been that person. I've been
So
I
she
ain't even
said,
gonna hold you. I've
I
been
know, right? I was that person, right? But I remember when, and I will never forget, we would go to the club on Saturday night. Then we would go to the church on Sunday, and we were rocking the church, right? The same way we have been rocking in the club, right?
Yes.
And we used to crack up laughing
Listen,
because
it's
we
a
would get
both end. It's
but
a
the
both.
music would be so good, right? That we would just be up in the church, just rocking like we were in the club.
Listen, I say God is the God of the twerk. Okay, you can't tell me that it is not God's desire.
Right.
Okay, for me to have a good twerk in my life. Okay,
Right.
it brings all the joy,
Yeah.
all the pleasure. Right, it is
Right.
an embodiment,
Mm-hmm.
right, of
Exactly.
my divinity. Like, are you kidding me,
Yeah.
child? You
Exactly.
better twerk for Jesus. Twerk for Jesus.
Church for Jesus, right? And that's the reality of it is to be open and free, and to be able to talk about it in a way that makes sense for everybody. Because you can
Mhm.
hear and you could tell me about the Bible that I know you know about, and we could, you know what I'm saying. But how
Mhm.
does that support people when we talk about it? We're here to say we want to share with you how spirituality can be a part of your life, can be
Mhm.
an authentic part of your life. How about that?
Yes.
And I like that part. How to do that. And that's when we talk about your spiritual practices and being real about Christianity, being real and not having to. And I love this Jesus Christ story, right? And don't get me wrong, right?
It's amazing. That was a bad boy. Okay. The boy was bad. I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was a bad mamma jamma.
But the wisdom, like I say, and I say the Bible is a wisdom text, right? Jesus is a master leader, a master teacher.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what we learn from that is powerful, right? And
Mhm.
so that's the part that I really appreciate.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at, I'm doing Bible study now because I don't know the Bible. I'm an interfaith minister, right?
Mhm.
So I did that, and really studying all religions helped me study Christianity more,
Mm.
and really accept it more because of like growing up in the church, right? Then going away from it and saying, oh, I don't have to do that anymore,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
while there, not being able to explore it and really understand it, just being told this is how it is. You read the Bible, you da 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 da.
Mhm.
And then coming back through looking at it from science of the mind, unity, positive perspective, and understanding it from a broader perspective really supported me. And knowing about other religions too. Because Christianity was exclusive. If you didn't believe in Jesus Christ, you were going to hell. And
Listen.
I don't care who you were. Everybody in the whole world is supposed to convert to Christianity, right? Or nothing else exists, right?
Child. And one of the biggest breakthroughs I had was right around that. I was like, okay, so God created all these people,
Mm-hmm.
put them on all different parts of the earth, gave them all different types of experiences, languages, cultures, like, and it's only supposed to be one type of experience of God. That don't make no sense.
Well,
That, the math is not mathing.
right.
So,
Something is not
something,
right. This, right,
some,
right.
something's not right about that. Something's not
Exactly.
right about that. You were talking about the approaching spirituality authentically. Right. And I think one of the things that has been pivotal for me in my journey is learning how to be.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
learning how to be. I
Mm.
was very good at doing.
Me too. Mm.
Child, I was a doer,
Me too.
exhausted,
I
but
have
a
a
doer,
song called the Doobie
tired,
Song, right? The
but a
do,
doer.
yeah.
And in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've learned my human design,
Mm.
which is an amazing modality. If you like personal development and stuff like that,
Mm.
I would definitely suggest looking into your human design. And human design, I am a projector.
Mm.
And one of the things that I learned is that I'm it is literally my design to just be.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's. I love that you're saying that, and I know that you say you are the B coach, right?
Yes, I'm in.
And so it took a long time for me to understand what it meant to be a long time,
Mhm.
right?
Right. It's a
Even
journey.
to what does it really mean when you say that, how to get people to understand what is that, because as
Mhm.
I was saying to you, I was a doing machine too, and when I started to be, I had the doobie song which had very little being in it, right?
Mhm.
And over
Mhm.
the last, I would say, 10 years, right, I understand being. And what put cap on it for me, understand being, was being in momentum.
Yes.
That
Human
was
education.
how I was like, whoa, that's what being is, right? And since, connecting those two, now I
Mhm.
get it, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's all, I get it, but it does take something to
Mhm.
practice it, to get off the doing machine. That's what it
Oh
is.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh
takes a
yeah.
whole
It's
lot.
definitely
Yeah.
being is a muscle that you grow,
Oh, yes.
right?
Mm.
Like anything, like faith. right?
Right.
Like learning how to ride a bike, right? Like
Mhm.
building a new routine.
Mhm.
Um, it is a muscle that you grow. For me and my experience, it was slowing all the way down,
Mm.
right? Because I was like this. I was
Mhm.
in church 4 to 5 times a week. I
Mhm.
was working a full-time job. I
Mhm.
was in community events and doing this and doing that and da 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 da. Da. And
Mhm.
I got to December of 2019. I
Mhm.
got fired from a job for the first time, only time ever in my life. I still
Mhm.
don't know what I did wrong. Um, and then March 2020, the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
I'm already depressed. My birthday happens 2 days after that. My pastor died. I'm like, what is
Mhm.
happening
Mhm.
right now? Right. And this is
Mhm.
after I had completed the work of momentum. Right.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
what I would say for me is that I learned the concept of being at
Mhm.
momentum education.
Mhm.
Um, I have experienced it and am experiencing it and will continue it to experience it um,
Mhm.
in my life on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
What it means for me to be in this time in my life
Mhm.
is going to change, right? Because I'm
Mhm.
going to continue to change and evolve. So that's the first thing that I want to say is right, like know that this is going to change,
Yeah.
right? Because you're going to evolve and what you need is going to change. So slowing down and really facing myself. I use shadow work, right?
Somebody recently asked me about shadow work.
Yes,
It's
yes,
interesting that you bring
absolutely.
it up.
And shadow work is really about facing and integrating that other side of us. Okay, I call mine Charlie Blue. That girl crazy. She
And
got a couple of things going on.
so I love it because the first step is to be able to see that side of yourself. And that's what
Yeah.
people, you don't, they just push it away. Oh, you don't want to see it. And
Yeah, we're not gonna act like she don't exist.
there,
She's
and
there.
then,
Whether you want to admit it or not, right? Because she rears her ugly head and now and then.
exactly. But the integrating is the key. So I think that what happens is the reason we don't face it is there's shame. There's something
Yeah.
about it that we don't want to say that's us, but it's there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we just say, oh, yeah, we recognize, right? And then we say that integration part is the key part,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And just by recognizing and saying, then you kind of loosen up something, within
Mhm.
yourself by looking at your shadow,
Yes.
accepting it as who you are, because we want to say, oh, no, that's not me, but yeah,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so the work then becomes the integration. There is the work of, it's there, but just accepting, right, and
For
facing
sure.
is the first.
For
Then the
sure.
second part where the relief and where you start to work through it is the integration.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And the integration, um, so in learning my human design specialist Amina Asante, I was in a mastermind for a year and we had a retreat. And during our retreat, um, we really honored, right, our shadow self,
mm, mm,
right,
mm,
and loved on our
mm,
shadow selves,
mm,
right,
mm,
and thereby releasing the shame
mhm,
and guilt.
mhm,
Right now, you don't get to act crazy, right? Right. We're working on that, right? By doing this, we're by acknowledging you, and now we're gonna give you what you need,
mhm.
so you don't have to act like that.
Right.
Right, so that we can use these parts of you. For me it is my, as I call it, passion, right, that comes up as I start speaking that I got, because I'm a New York girl. Okay, South Side Queens 142 Southern, what up? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like I got that honest, right?
Right.
And being able to use that as a tool
Mm-hmm.
rather it rather than it using me and
Mm-hmm.
to my detriment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have it serve you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the key. That's good to think about that too. And being a coach. So in your as a leadership, talk about the what's special about being a leadership spiritual coach. Do I want to talk about and then we'll talk about your company.
Okay. So spiritual leadership coaches. So when I first started coaching, I am still the B coach. I came out as the B coach, and um one of the things that I am finding out about myself in my self discovery is that I am amazing at a lot of different things. And so there'll be a few things that are my wheelhouse. Having the background of being raised in church and thereby being a part of the leadership as early as the age of 11, I was my father's secretary, communicating with grown people about his schedule and
What?
what was needed and necessary and stuff like that, and learning how to do that as a child. um and progressing through the different areas of the church. I am clear that one of the purposes of my life is to support leaders and leaders in their spirituality, right? Because
Mm,
if we start with our leadership, right, and we can start the conversation there,
mm-hmm,
prime it, right? Create the environments, the safe,
mm-hmm,
open, vulnerable, courageous environments
mm-hmm,
that are needed and necessary.
mm-hmm.
People really want to be free.
They do. Absolutely.
People really want to be
They
free, and
do.
we are looking. I too am looking, right, and am searching for the roads and paths to that, right. And
Mhm,
so if our we equip our leadership
mhm,
in their own spiritual experience,
mhm,
right, then
mhm.
we can have the masses,
Yeah.
right,
And a
impacted.
real authentic spiritual experience.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the leadership talks about Christianity like that's the way.
Right. It
You
got to
know,
be a decolonized, okay? Black womanist theology,
right.
liberated, huh?
A liberated, okay?
It got
Right.
to be a liberated theology. You right,
Yes,
Rev G. Let's
exactly.
specify. You right. Let's be clear. You
Let's
got to
be
make it
clear
plain.
about what we're talking about with this leadership, right? But so I am now training to be a mental fitness coach.
You better go ahead, Rev G.
And what you talked about earlier when you said that being is a muscle, right? What a mental fitness coach, what we're coaching you to do is build your muscles, just as you will build muscles in your arm.
Love
We
that.
call building your fitness, your mental brain muscles, and we're actually doing the exercises that change your brain.
Hmm.
So we do what is called, and it's called positive intelligence, and we do PQ reps, and we're building our positive side of our brain with these PQ reps that we do on a daily basis.
Okay.
And what's really cool about it is sums up, it's like we all have judges and we have saboteurs that supports our judge, right?
Hmm.
So it's continuously there. But this program will support us in intercepting those judges and saboteurs
Hmm.
and and then using what we call our sage powers of empathizing, negotiating, navigating. So in these moments, then we shift. We build the sage powers, and we use it to shift when we find ourselves in judge saboteur mode.
Hmm.
And the third part of it that's really great is our self command, right? And that's what's most important,
Hmm.
how our self command works. You only have to do it like 2 or 3 minutes a day. We do these two or
Sounds
three
so cool.
PQ reps, right? So it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Excited that. when you talk about spirituality for leaders, right? Um, as a mental fitness coach, my underlying package is spirituality, but I can
Mhm.
open up to a broader group of people as a mental fitness coach,
Mhm.
still as a spiritual coach,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? So it broadened it, and for me, it felt more people will be attracted to it because sometimes when you say spirituality, people get the word mixed up. They think about the
Mhm.
Bible, they think about
Mhm.
the church, they think about
Mhm.
so many things. So how do we get to talk about spirituality? And as a coach, how many people really come know that it's spirituality that they need? If you
Mm.
do a breakdown, right? Really, you really do need spirituality, but you don't necessarily think you might need a psychiatrist
Mhm.
or something different when you could reach for a spiritual coach
Mhm.
that may be able to support you.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about this new journey in mental fitness.
Yeah, that sounds really, really fun. That
Yeah,
sounds
it
really
is. And it
fun.
uses all the same principles. It's like mindfulness, really.
Mhm.
And what it is really about 2 minute mindfulness moments within your life. So it's not about a practice like, you know, how every morning we listen to gospel music, we meditate, then we go in the world. Then we come out at night, and before we go to sleep, we do some spiritual.
Mhm.
This is about all day, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I love it because you get to figure out how all day to be in that
Mhm.
practice, how all
Mhm.
day to have tools right
Yeah.
at hand to support you in the moment. That's
Mhm.
the whole program.
That is really cool. I'm excited for you, Rev G. That
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. So I'm getting my certification. I have people that showing them how to do it, coaching them through it, right? So it's exciting. And,
That.
and as you talked about how we too, as you said, are always growing and changing, and I say leveling up and doing new things.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you look a lot different this year than 2 years when you were on my show before. You know what? It's like,
I'm 70 pounds released. Okay. I done released 70 pounds in
yeah,
a week.
release 70 pounds. Wow.
And on my hair.
you you know what I thought about also? You were as close as you were to your father in the church. What is your relationship now? You say your pastor died. You left the church because you moved. Is that why you're at another church?
No.
Well, talk
Um,
about the
oh
relationship
sure.
between that now.
Sure, sure. So when I got engaged, I started going to my husband's church. And so the
Okay.
pastor there became my pastor at that
Okay.
time.
Mhm.
Once we got married, my daddy was not happy to he felt like he was losing his baby girl. I'm the youngest daughter. I have a younger brother,
Mhm.
but he was like feeling like he lost his baby girl child, and so it was definitely a transitional period in our relationship, right?
Mhm.
Where I was balancing the two men that I loved, right? And
Mhm.
learning how to be with that. Even it's been years now. Tomorrow is actually me and my husband's 10th year anniversary.
Wow.
Um, and so daddy's okay now.
Wow.
He is all right. My father is one of I always say, in my opinion, he is one of the greatest theological minds of our time. My father is an amazing, amazing orator of the Word of God. And
Mhm.
so it is, I got it honest, right? Like I literally got it honest. And it was through my relationship and again, seeing my parents as pastors and then the conversations that we got to have at home and the conversations that we get to have now, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
allowing them to see me and experience me as I am now,
That's
outside
great.
of the expectations that they had for me, right?
Mm, mhm,
Because some of what I am exploring, right, is
mhm,
outside of their practice. And
mhm.
that's okay because they get to have their practice.
Yeah, that's
Seen it
so
work
important.
for them,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And there are things that I still maintain, like I said, about those traditions that we get to continue
Yeah, yeah,
that work,
absolutely.
right? I
Mhm,
saw my mother wake up and pray before she got out of the bed every single day.
mhm, mhm.
Every single my whole life
Right.
of living with her, I saw
Mhm,
her pray every single day,
mhm.
and build that muscle of
Yeah.
having that spiritual time, right? And so that is something that I aspire to build in my own way,
Mhm,
right? She don't have an altar in her house. I
mhm,
got my altar,
mhm, mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I get to glean from that experience
mhm.
and add my own little,
What works for you?
what works for me, and what I am exploring and what God is calling me to. I am very clear that like we label a lot of things,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I believe that we close ourselves off to the freedom that we so desperately want in so many ways
mhm,
because we are unwilling to
mhm,
explore something new,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Are there evil and demonic practices? Absolutely.
mhm,
But
mhm.
everything that we have said is demonic and evil is not.
Right. Absolutely.
Right, it is actually powerful tools that can circumvent time and space.
I
And
say that too because I
yeah.
had a chance to look at Wicked and realize that we were told, oh no, stay away from it,
Hmm.
right? But their practices are just the same as Christian practices. I remember one thing you said for me that shifted for me, for my family, is totally Christian. We all are, I mean, really in it,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
what happened for me is as I started to think about it, and I would have these try to have these Christian debates, right?
Hmm.
Right, right. And then now I finally got to the point, and it was recent that I would say, let Christianity be Christianity. Let them be Christian. Don't fight it. If people want to choose, and I think you said that when you were saying let them have their practices and then you get to have yours,
Yes.
something shifted for me too to say, let Christians be Christian,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You know?
And I want to add that for me, it's a both end. I
Yes.
still attend church.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the Black church experience. It is
Me too.
nothing like it in this
Absolutely.
world.
I still have my black pastor, Reverend
Come
Walden,
on
down
here.
here in Harlem, right?
Yes.
And going and praise and worship in the church, girl, I love
Yes.
it. What you said it earlier in the beginning of the conversation. The one thing you said that everybody craves community. Community is important for people. So the
Mhm.
church was community for us.
Yes.
Momentum is community for us. We have
Mhm.
so many different ways now that we've created community.
Mhm.
And during the pandemic, we kind of like lost some of that community, because we all became isolated, right? So
Mhm.
now we're back and we can then start to recreate that and go back
Mhm.
and be in community.
Mhm.
So I think that when we look at the pandemic, we're not going to go back to how we were, right?
That's right.
We have to look to who do we get to be now,
Yeah.
right?
We
Yeah.
get to innovate moment to moment, right? Like one of the other titles I have is an innovator because I just be doing mad different stuff. But like, but we get to innovate, moment to moment, it is imperative to our survival.
Mhm.
I was in a mentoring meeting earlier with Ebony Stewart, and she was talking about us living a progressive life,
Mhm.
right? We
Mhm.
get to aim to live. That should be one of, or it is my desire.
Right.
And I'm
Exactly.
suggesting, right, that we all endeavor to live progressive lives, that we are always evolving and growing and expanding and learning and taking some stuff off and putting some new stuff on, right, and throwing away some old rituals and picking up
Mhm.
some new ones, right, for where we are now.
Mhm.
It is imperative to the survival of the human race at this point, because
Right.
right? Because while there are amazing, wonderful, beautiful things happening, the world is in peril,
Mhm. Oh, imperative.
right?
How do
And
we relate to that, and how do we
how,
deal with
yeah,
that? Yeah. And
yeah,
that's why I talk about the spiritual toolkit,
hmm,
right? It's one of the things that I talk about because we all have our own spiritual toolkit.
hmm,
And as I've done this show and talked about people and talked about what's in your spiritual toolkit,
hmm,
right? It's been amazing the different things that people have in their spiritual toolkit. We talk about how it being personal. Meditation works for me, but it doesn't work for some, right? People do yoga. I don't do yoga, but I love a good breathing exercise, right? So I love gospel music. I listen to it every day, right?
hmm,
So we all have our own different things that keep us going. And I say too, I'm about the joy and the fun like you. I love the energy that you bring, right?
hmm,
Because it's just fun. It's uplifting. It's an energy that um I love it, right? So I bring that too. So I'm always too talking about access that joy to
yeah,
people because the way we live and we laugh, we just brush it through, right? And not to say,
hmm,
I think because we choose the joy,
hmm.
you know,
And let's be clear, every day ain't like this,
and
right?
that's how I say it.
And
We
doing
go
your
through
shadow work and doing your self work gets real, right?
yeah,
And that is why you build a team,
mm,
right? You get
yeah,
a spiritual leadership coach, you
right,
get a mental fitness coach, right?
yeah,
You get a pastor, preacher, shaman, imam,
right,
whatever, right? Your practice is.
yeah, your
You have
team,
your
yeah,
friends, your family, your support
yeah,
system,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who is there to support you through those
ah,
tough moments, and you use your spiritual toolkit. When you said that, I started writing it down. So I'm gonna give you the 3-point sermon like a good Baptist preacher and make my daddy proud. They do that, okay? Because you
all
got
right.
to put the sermon together, right? Okay.
So I'm gonna sit
Um,
here and we
so I would
gonna
say my spiritual toolkit, my I'm gonna do 3, 2, 1. So my
go.
3 is God is nature. For
Mm,
me, nature is nourishing. Nature gives me everything that I need. I get to release into nature, and nature pours right back into me. I love to go to the park and discover new trails and
mm,
sit by the water. I got my little secret spots, okay, that I do be selfish with my spots. I do not be sharing where they are. I am a tree hugger, okay. I have my trees. I done named them, okay. I go and check on them, give them a hug, ask their permission, okay. Because
mm,
you can't just be hugging up on trees, not asking their permission.
right,
All right. Ask their permission first. Be respectful to the nature, okay,
right,
as
right,
you
right.
using the nature to heal.
Mm,
And honoring, right, the people of the land and the land, right, being sure that we do that, that in our spirituality we are being ethical. That
mm,
is very important to
mm,
me,
mm,
in my work, that we are creating ethical and consensual relationships with our higher power or powers. And then number 2, you touched right on it. God is the God of joy. And so choosing joy, like you said, being joy, And child fighting for that joy, right?
Yes, child.
Some days,
Yeah.
right? Turning on that playlist and getting yourself right on together
Mhm.
when you need to. So practicing joy in whatever way that shows up for you. For me, that is being silly, ranking on my son and my husband, okay?
Mhm.
Because if we not cracking jokes, what are we doing?
Right,
Right? Loving
exactly.
on them, spending time with them, spending time with myself. Alone time is
Mhm.
very, very, very
Mhm.
important for me, and my rest time is very, very important
Mhm.
for me. And rest is not just sleeping.
Mhm. Right.
Right? So giving myself different types um, of rest, which brings me joy. And then my one,
Mhm.
church people gonna be mad at me for this one, but God is the God of orgasms. Okay,
That girl said that's
Jesus
my
does
number
not
one.
want you to be going through this life without orgasm.
I said he
I'm
does
trying to
not.
tell
I
you.
agree with you
Okay, I
100%.
don't know what this non-sensual, non-sexual God that don't care nothing. God cares. Okay, and so, so seeking your
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm saying God is the God of orgasms because I know that'll ping in people's,
Here.
minds, right?
Right.
When, as
Right.
you're going through life, you're gonna be like, oh, God is the God of
Right.
orgasms. Let me bring
Right.
some
Let
pleasure
me
to my
go
life.
for it.
So,
Right.
but pleasure, right?
Right.
However, pleasure shows up for you, not just orgasms, but consensual, right? Consent matters. No means no, but practicing your pleasure.
Mhm.
Um, in different ways. For me, that shows up as art. Um, I do acrylic pours and some hand painting, and I absolutely love getting my hands dirty and getting the paint all over my hands. Like it brings me so much pleasure.
Mhm.
It is pleasure in food and what I am putting in my body. When I take my vitamins, right? The
Mhm.
pleasure, right, of knowing that I'm giving my body the nourishment that it needs, right?
Mhm.
And also the sexes, yeah, because double digit orgasms is amazing. I want you to have that.
That girl said, "I am the person to let you know." Yeah.
I said, that scripture that God said, if you need somebody, send me God. I'll go tell the people. I will go tell the
Your
people.
girl tell you said I raised my hand to
I
tell
said, send me God. I'll go.
the God of orgasms, right? God. I'll let them know. No, I 100% agree with you. Right? Everybody should experience orgasms.
Child.
Absolutely.
It'll change your life. Some people just mad. You just need a release.
I
That's
know, and that's what you say behind their back. You think,
No,
right?
it's really true though. And not only that, but the freedom, the divine experience, right, of
Mhm.
allowing yourself to ascend,
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
to that level of pleasure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And possibility.
yeah.
And then if you use it in affirmation and manifestation, child, please. Now listen, now what you go
Wait, we say like just write your manifestation and your aspiration down. You're like, no,
no,
just
you gotta speak them in the moment.
in that moment,
In
right?
the moment, try it and DM me and tell me how it goes.
Right, like moving from just writing them down, right, to
You
declaring them.
gotta
Now we
speak that thing.
declaring them, right?
God spoke and it was, right? Huh?
Word, right? Was. That
Right.
is so beautiful. So I was gonna ask you too about being a creative because I've seen some of your artistic endeavors, right?
Yeah.
So the funny story is you remember you did artwork where you were blowing with a
Yeah.
straw or something.
Uh-huh.
Girl, I tried that. I have no breath. I was like, what in the world? Right?
It does, it do say I'll be out of breath. Whew, that took a lot out of me.
I tell you, I had a whole lot of respect for that art you did blowing through a straw, whatever you were blowing with, because I tried it and I was like, oh, this blowing art. It's not what
It does take some wind. It
it
does
takes
take
some
some wind.
wind.
I don't always do it like that because your mouth and the kinkers and all of that start hurting. But sometimes I use different methods. So sometimes a straw, sometimes a blow dryer, sometimes I just tilt it different ways.
Okay, now, all
So
right. That sounds
yeah,
like a blow dryer or something,
it
but
just
that
yeah.
straw blowing, I was like, girl, what?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I actually rediscovered the artist in me when I was reading The Artist's Way during the
Mm,
pandemic in 2022. A friend of
mm,
mine, Sharice Broadbelt, I met her through Momentum,
mhm,
and she was hosting a book club around The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I
mhm.
highly, highly, highly recommend.
It's on my
um,
list. It's
it is
I was like,
amazing, and I
I know a
recommend
lot of
doing it
people
in
that read it.
community.
You recommend what?
Doing it in community, like
Mm,
with a group of people, so that you have the support because it is a book that you be,
mm.
and it gets real.
I have it on my list because it's interesting. I can remember at Christmas time 2 years ago, I take up the collection for our Christmas gift to our
Mm.
staff that works.
Oh, nice.
And I met one of the tenants, and he actually recommended that I get that book. But
That's
I know of the book from many artists that I know that they read. That's like the handbook for them, Artist
mm-hmm.
Way, and they use that book. So, not considering myself, say, an artist per se, I never really picked it up.
Yeah, but
But it's
we are all artists.
yeah,
And
absolutely, because
yeah,
I've
and the
discovered
book talks
painting
about
and
that.
anything. Right? I've discovered,
Yeah, like
yeah,
this is art. This is
right,
art, right? The
yeah, yeah,
conversations with Rev G, this is your part of your
right,
art
yeah,
and what you get to
absolutely.
create and leave your stamp in the world. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. So we all have our creative spirits and being able to tap into that,
Mhm.
and what comes to mind too is with all the doing that we're doing to get somewhere, how much time do we take to just really get your fingers dirty and to be in the paint? And what I thought to get your fingers dirty, I thought of even like people who plant gardens, all the different creative things that
Mhm.
we get to do. And I would
Right.
say that when I was on my doing, trying to get somewhere, I wasn't focused on any creative things.
Child.
Just going to the club on the weekend was the most creative thing we did, right? Right. After work Fridays, right? But other than
Yeah.
that, as you think about it, really was, as we said, we were
Mhm.
doing, trying to get something
Mhm.
going somewhere and rarely thinking about what it means to be.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I love that early you are talking to people about what it means to be, right? And I also always talk about grace and ease, and grace and ease
Yes. Ooh,
is about that same thing, giving yourself grace and ease it up, baby.
child. That grace is another muscle, child.
Yeah,
Grace,
yeah,
that girl. Oh my God.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
is it is a radical act of self-love to give ourselves grace. It is one of the greatest things that we can do, and I'm saying that for me too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Right, and ease up on ourselves. And
For
ease
sure.
doesn't mean that we don't have the passion
Oh,
for it. We
absolutely
have
not.
all of that. But yeah, that's what I say. Live your best life in joy with grace and ease.
Yeah.
Moment by moment, because each moment is different.
Mhm.
Each moment you could shift in the moment, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been really good. What would you like to leave? We touch on everything, and I'll give you a chance to leave people with something that can support them, because we're here to touch, move, and inspire people.
Absolutely.
Say things that may support you in living your life,
Absolutely.
like we do joyfully. you know?
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So first of all, I want to say thank you again. I always enjoy anytime we get to be in community together. And so it's been a pleasure conversing with you this evening. And I know that it will touch those who it is meant to touch, and it will reach those who it is meant to reach. Um I you get to be
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
I
like
love it. Yeah.
I there is no other way, I don't think I can put it any more simply, right, than to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you.
Mm,
You're not failing at this, right?
mm,
You probably got stuck in the doing,
mm, mm, mm.
right? And now you're pissed off because the doing's not working,
Right.
right? But what's likely happening is that the words you're speaking, right, are in opposition to what you actually want,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
so return to your being, return to your breath, return to your body, return to this present moment,
mm,
right? It's safe for you to be you now.
mm,
And if any of that I just shared resonates with you, I want you to click the link in my bio. I'm on all social media at Jamie's B, at Jamie's BE.
mm,
Because I am the B coach, and it is a declaration and a reminder to me
mm,
from Jamie's I get to be. Right. And every time I open up my social media and I see Jamie's B, it reminds me to not put on a show,
mm,
not to put that mask back up, but to continue to show up authentically in this moment, in this present time as I am,
yeah.
and allow that to be okay. And so next month, yeah, I'm about to. It's almost March. I wanted to
It's
make sure it wasn't March yet.
already. It's
uh,
already March,
March
right?
is my birthday month too. March
And
twenty
so
third
what's
is
your
my birthday.
birthday? March
March 23rd. I'm an Aries.
Aries. Oh, my birthday is March 19th. I'm a
I
Pisces.
did not know that. Well,
Yeah.
happy early birthday,
I
Rev
know. And I remember your birthday because my husband's birthday is March 24th, the day
Oh
after your birthday. He's
wow,
an Aries, right?
that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
So we get to celebrate. Yeah,
Absolutely,
right.
and happy early birthday to both
Yes,
of
thank
you.
you. Yeah.
And so
You're
next month
launching.
I will be starting the Art of Being Mastermind. It will be an 8-week mastermind where I will walk you through the art of being,
Yeah.
and you will get to go in your life and be supported on a weekly basis in our live sessions.
Mm,
There will also be an online community as well as a group chat so that you have support throughout the week,
mm,
as life is happening, right? Because when we commit to these things, listen, I declared in my leadership in 2018, March of 2018, right, that I was the B coach,
mhm.
right? And life, God, and the universe said, "Oh, you the B coach? Okay,
Right.
okay.
Mhm,
We gonna see. We gonna
absolutely.
see if you are truly committed,
Mhm,
right, to that call. Okay, so you heard the call, got it. That's great. Step one, good.
mhm,
Now we're gonna see if you really want to be the B coach.
mhm,
If you're really committed to this art of being, if you're really committed to being vulnerable enough to share your journey as it is,
mm, mhm, mhm,
right? And so we get to walk through that.
mhm,
We'll be walking through the steps of that. You'll have homework and exercises and support and all of that for you. Additionally, like I said, I am an innovator and creator of many things, many, many things. And so my link tree is in my bio, in all of my social media. And it's linktree /Jamie's B. There you will see my a link for my art, a link for my podcast. I just released the latest episode last week is called Uncertified Freedom, where I talk about my journey as a coach who is not certified on purpose.
Mhm.
And that conversation, that was really fun to have. So go and definitely check that out. And yeah, you'll see me on the show's socials. Um, Shenanigans, okay, preaching a little bit, okay, cussing a little bit, so you've been warned, okay,
Yeah.
um, and having fun and enjoy sharing my journey, sharing my journey, and it with the hopes that you will find something in it that calls you forward, that makes you feel seen and heard and inspired and touched to change your life, because you can, because you get to.
Good to
So I leave you with my words: be well, be whole, be seen, be free. My name is Jamie's B, and I'm going to twerk some. Okay, we'll see y'all later.
Bye. Well, thank you so much. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you. See you next time.
Yeah. We lost our engineer, right? But it's okay. He'll be back. And
He dropped.
I don't know.
Maybe I can remove myself. Let's see.
No, wait, don't remove yourself
Okay.
because what we could do is cut this part
Yeah,
off.
it'll cut out. It'll cut it
We'll
out.
tell him because it ends with me doing like thank you for joining the show.
So, well,
So
here's
let's do
what
that.
I'll do.
Here we go.
I'll leave the studio, so it'll just be you by yourself. Then
And
you
I'll
can
do that
record
part.
that part.
But
And
no, because it's not gonna work now because he's gonna have to cut this part where you and I are talking. If you had just kind of left before, because
no,
we're not gonna be able to piece that.
he will be. He should be able to, because he can just take out this portion and
And
put.
then put that portion in.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna leave out. Love you, Rev G. I'll
Love
talk to
you
you
too.
soon.
Bye. Thank you for joining me tonight on Conversations with Reverend G. I'm here every Monday night, WEMS Radio. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And I'd like to leave you with my famous and heartfelt hopes that you will live your